Have you ever noticed that in almost every group chat, there's that one person everyone turns to when things fall apart? The one who gets the late night "can I vent" text. The one who somehow ends up sitting on the edge of a friend's bed at 1 a.m., nodding gently while someone unpacks their heartbreak for the third time this month. The one who says, "I get it," and actually means it. And if you're watching this, there's a decent chance that person is you. You're the therapist friend, the calm one, the emotionally literate one, the one who somehow knows how to validate feelings, reframe negative thoughts, and gently suggest healthier boundaries, even if your own life is slightly on fire. It sounds like a compliment, right? And sometimes it is. But if you're honest, you might also feel tired, maybe a little unseen. Maybe you've wondered, why does everyone feel so safe with me, but I don't always feel safe opening up to them? Let's talk about why this happens, not just socially, psychologically, because being the therapist friend isn't random. It's not an accident. It's often rooted in your personality, your upbringing, and even the wiring of your nervous system. First, let's zoom out. In every social group, roles form naturally. There's the jokester, the planner, the chaotic one, the quiet observer, and yes, the emotional anchor. Humans are tribal by nature, and tribes need stability. They need someone who can absorb emotional storms without amplifying them. If you're the therapist friend, you probably developed a skill set early on: reading rooms, reading faces, sensing tension before anyone says a word. Maybe you grew up in a household where emotions were loud, unpredictable, or unspoken. Maybe you learned that staying calm kept things from escalating, or that being the mature one got you praise. Or safety. Psychologists sometimes talk about something called hyper-attunement. It's when you become highly sensitive to other people's emotional states. Not just empathy, but almost a radar system. You walk into a room and instantly know who's upset, who's faking a smile, who's about to snap. Your brain got really good at this because, at some point, it had to. And here's the fascinating part. When you consistently respond to others with calm, validation, and insight, people start associating you with emotional relief. You become the safe harbor, the nervous system regulator. Research on co-regulation shows that humans unconsciously sync their emotional states with those around them. If you're steady, grounded, and reflective, others literally feel calmer in your presence. That's powerful. But power has a shadow, because often, therapist friends are better at holding space than taking up space. Think about it. When someone else is talking, you're fully there. You ask questions. You listen deeply. You don't interrupt. But when it's your turn, you might downplay your own struggles. You might wrap your pain in humor. You might think, it's not that big of a deal, even when it is. Why? Sometimes it's identity. You've internalized the role of the strong one. And if you're the strong one, who supports you? If you're the calm one, do you even get to fall apart? There's also something called emotional labor. Originally used to describe workplace dynamics, it applies beautifully to friendships. Emotional labor is the invisible effort of managing feelings, yours and others. Validating, soothing, reframing, encouraging. It's work, meaningful work, but still work. And if you're the therapist friend, you're often doing that labor for free, out of love, without even realizing how much energy it costs. Let me paint a picture. Your friend calls you after a breakup. You spend 2 hours helping them untangle red flags, reminding them of their worth, gently challenging their self-blame. You hang up feeling good that you helped, but also drained. Then you scroll through your own unanswered messages, your own unresolved worries. And you think, I'll deal with that later. Later sometimes never comes. Now, here's where it gets deeper. Many therapist friends score high in traits like agreeableness and openness in personality psychology. You care. You're curious about human behavior. You genuinely want to understand why people do what they do. You probably watch videos like this because you're fascinated by the inner world. But there's another layer: boundaries. If you're the therapist friend, you might struggle with saying no to emotional access. You feel guilty when someone says, "I don't know what I'd do without you." That hits your heart. It feels meaningful. It feels like purpose. And it is meaningful. But purpose can quietly become pressure. Some therapist friends develop what's called a helper identity. Their self-worth becomes tied to being needed. If no one is coming to you with a crisis, you might even feel strangely irrelevant. It's subtle. You won't admit it out loud. But it's there. There's a concept in psychology called the Karpman drama triangle. It describes three roles people unconsciously slip into: victim, persecutor, and rescuer. The therapist friend often becomes the rescuer. You swoop in, you stabilize, you fix. And while you don't see yourself as superior, you do see yourself as responsible. But constantly rescuing can prevent others from learning to self-regulate. And it can prevent you from experiencing relationships where support flows both ways. Let me ask you something gently. When was the last time you fully unraveled in front of someone? Not polished vulnerability. Not, "I've already processed this, and now I can present it neatly." I mean raw, confused, mid-breakdown. If that feels uncomfortable to imagine, that's telling. Sometimes therapist friends fear being too much. Ironically, the very thing others rely on you for, emotional depth, is the thing you hesitate to show. And yet, your depth is not just for others. It's yours. Now, here's the empowering part. Being the therapist friend is not a flaw. It's a strength. You likely have high emotional intelligence. You can perspective shift. You understand nuance. You probably give incredible advice because you see patterns clearly. But strengths become sustainable only with balance. Imagine your empathy like a rechargeable battery. Every time you deeply hold space, a little bit drains. If you never plug it back in, through rest, through being heard, through setting boundaries, eventually it flickers. You don't have to stop being the safe one, but you do have to expand your role. You can say, "I really want to be there for you, but can we talk tomorrow? I'm a bit overwhelmed tonight." That's not selfish. That's modeling healthy regulation. You can also experiment with letting conversations be messy when they're about you. Resist the urge to summarize your feelings neatly. Let yourself ramble. Let yourself not have the answers. It might feel unnatural at first, like you're stepping out of character. But maybe you're not stepping out of character. Maybe you're stepping into a fuller version of it. Because here's a reframe. You're not the therapist friend because you're invincible. You're the therapist friend because you understand pain. You understand confusion. You understand what it's like to need someone steady. And that means you deserve someone steady too. Think about how good it feels when someone truly listens to you. Not to respond. Not to fix. Just to understand. That's what you give people all the time. It's not greedy to want that back. It's human. And here's something beautiful. When you allow yourself to be supported, you actually deepen your relationships. You move from being the emotional service provider to being a whole person in connection. You stop being the group's unofficial counselor and start being a friend. Equal, layered, imperfect. So if you're the therapist friend, I don't want you to shrink that part of yourself. The world needs emotionally intelligent people. It needs listeners. It needs calm in chaos. But I also want you to widen the lens. Your value isn't just in how well you hold others. It's in who you are when you're not holding anything at all. Maybe the next time someone says, "You're so strong," you smile and say, "Thanks. But I'm human too." And maybe tonight, instead of solving someone else's crisis, you check in with your own heart. What have you been carrying quietly? What have you postponed feeling? You don't have to answer perfectly, just honestly. If this felt a little too accurate, you're not alone. There are so many therapist friends out there, nodding quietly, realizing why they're always the safe one. Tell me in the comments, do you relate to this role? And if you do, what's one small way you can let yourself be supported this week? And if you want to keep exploring the psychology behind the roles we play, the masks we wear, and the patterns we don't always notice, consider subscribing. Because understanding your mind isn't about labeling yourself. It's about finally seeing yourself clearly. And you, therapist friend, deserve to be seen too.